Welcome to Radio Annand with yours truly, Ashwini Saran, at 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. today on MAD 97.5 FM. I hope you're having a pleasant morning. Sitaram to both my parents are here today. Sitaram, how are you doing?
Sitaram, Ashwini, okay.
I wonder what you have in store for us today. I was told you will start at 11:15 a.m.
Yes.
So let's stay tuned, and of course we do like to encourage you to be part of the presentation that is being said today. We do ask for comments and your suggestion or your opinion based on what is said. We really do appreciate that. Before we begin today's program, I would like to say a huge thank you to Unique Innovations for sponsoring this first hour of Radio Annand, and of course to Azalea's Top Brands for sponsoring the second hour of Radio Annand. We are going to be here up until 1 p.m. so do stay tuned. And of course, I see some persons have already started commenting, which I do appreciate. Dr. Tamesh, Sitaram too, you're early with us. That's very nice to know. And Pandit Sachin, how are you doing? Sitaram to you. Thank you for staying tuned with us. I do hope you stay with us throughout the entire 2 hours, and that you also participate and join with us in this conversation. Welcome once again to Radio Annand, and without further ado, I'd like to ask Mommy to give us this morning's presentation. For those of you who are here, you can feel free to share the live and of course give your opinions and your thoughts based on what is being said, because we do appreciate it. And again, thank you to Azalea Top Brands and Unique Innovations for sponsoring this morning's program. It's a very peaceful morning this morning, and I do hope that persons who are here with us will stay for the entire 2 hours. So without further ado, I'd like to introduce our guest speaker, who actually is sometimes a host, to give the presentation, who's a very much well-known Sanskrit Hindi Ramayana teacher, retired school teacher, with many other titles, of course. I was just told before you get into the presentation actually that the Hindi exams are finished. And the Sanskrit will be finished, is that true? Tomorrow is the Sanskrit exams, and these are being done through the Ghana Hindu Dharmic Sabha
with a team of teachers.
with a team of teachers. And of course, when these exams are finished, there is going to be another level where persons can elevate themselves further.
And the previous level that was offered,
The previous level.
which is introduction.
So they have to register only the first batch.
Yes,
Okay.
they have to
You can call 227-6181 or 219-1900. That's the Dharmic Sanskritic Kendra in Prasad Nagar,
or
Panadripu.
page, or the page.
Panadripu Daman Prasad Sanskritic Kendra in Prasad Nagar. Or you can check out the Facebook page, Gayana Hindu Dharmic Sabha, for more information. So, Mommy,
Yes, thank
over
you.
to you.
So, Sitaram viewers and listeners, wherever you are, welcome to MAD 97.5 Live Radio and Facebook. You are tuning to Radio Annand on this cold, rainy day in Guyana. It is expected every year around this time. So, wherever you are tuned in, I also want to join with our beautiful host, Miss Ashmi Saran, to express to all of us a warm welcome. Today, I will read from two scriptures and we will converse after. Do feel free to comment and join in the conversation. Without further ado, let's do prayers to Prabhu Sri Ram. Om Ramaya Ramabhadraya Ramachandraya Vedase Raghunathaye Nathaye Sitaye Patiye Namam. Om Shanti 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 Hari Om. There are two texts which will be examined this morning. One is Bhagavad Gita and the other is Yoga Vashishta. I was never exposed to this text, and it was after reading so many other texts I was able to put my hands on this one. It's very much available in all different version and medium, English, Sanskrit and English. The Yoga Vashishta is a conversation between Sri Ram and sage Vashishta. He was the sage that taught Sri Ram. And what is interesting about this text is that it was written by sage Valmiki, and sage Valmiki wrote the Sanskrit Ramayana. So that's one of the texts we'll be looking at. In fact, most of it will be coming from the Yoga Vashishta. And then the Bhagavad Gita, it was written by Sage Vyas, consisting of 700 shlokas, and these are in 18 chapters. All of them talk about life itself and the challenges. But what is the difference between Yoga Vashishta and the Bhagavad Gita, and similar also? The difference is that Lord Krishna was given a sermon or answers to Arjuna about his duty on the field of Kurukshetra, on the battlefield. Yoga Vashishta was the conversation with Sri Ram and sage Vashishta on the insistence of his father, King Dashrath. This Yoga Vashishta was written before the Ramayana, and it was when Sri Ram, at the age of about 15 or 16 years, he was not married as yet, he went on a tour around the world, and when he came back, he was so disillusioned as to what he saw around the world in terms of humankind and various kinds of suffering and what they were experiencing. Remember in Ramaraj, when we did Varnashram, Nija Nija Dharam, when he was ruling, it was very, very powerful, good period where people did not suffer. But as a young lad, he saw that what people was going through. And when his father, King Dashrath, saw the look on his face when he came back from that tour, he implored upon Sage Vashisht that I think he's at the right age and at the right time for you to give him this spiritual knowledge, and hence the text was born, Yoga Vashisht. And this is a Yoga Vashisht that we're going to delve into this morning. It has 6 subtopics: dispassion, qualification of a seeker, creation, existence, dissolution, and liberation. And it is against the backdrop of these two that I highlighted the difference, because here is this young man, he's unmarried, went and saw the world and came back looking very perturbed and needed answers. And the father was planning all the while for him to be the ruler of the kingdom in time to come. So he thought the right time to interject knowledge into this young man is right now, based on how he was looking. And that's something that is very much embedded in our Hindu tradition and dharma. There, everything is well crafted. Everything and time is so set out. Is so I would say programmed. It's like they had already developed the software as to how, when a young person or someone come into this world, the different stages that they must pass through and the kind of teachings they must have. And that is why he was exposed to it. So he was given that at the age before marriage. But with Lord Krishna and Arjuna, Arjuna was already married and he had children, and he was given this knowledge about duty. So that is one difference. But we're going to look a little more into Yoga Vasishta before we come to the similarity of the teachings that were expounded to Ram by Sage Vashisht. So in the Yoga Vasishta, book 7, chapter 1, verse 1, Rama, he says, the renunciation of the notion of one's personality or egoism in his own person, being attended by its attendant evil of inertness and inactivity, it naturally brings on a premature decay and decline, and the eventual falling off of the body in a short time. How then is it possible, sir? He's addressing Sage Vashisht, for an indifferent person of this kind to practice his actions and discharge the active duties of life. So, lots of big words in this first shloka from Lord Ram to Sage Vashisht. So he was saying that, because you remember he's at his ripe age, adolescent, age 15, 16, and he's asking the question based on his view of the world. So a question from a teenager about life will be different from the question of a middle age or an older person, because as you will realize, the middle age and the older person would have experienced life a little more, but a young person will see life for what it is. And so he was saying that when you perform action, that your ego and your personality and the evil around you that encourages you to become inactive, because you can get things done so quickly, and you will feel, okay, I will just do this little bit and I'm okay, I don't need to do more. So he's saying, how is it a person can discharge the duty and active duty of life and do it without this ego? right? Because this is Ram, adolescent, and we know about the developmental stages in adolescence is that they always feel that anything they could accomplish, which is a good thing, but sometimes even the impossible they do not think it through, because at that age you feel you can move mountains, you can climb mountains, you can move mountains, you can fly to mountains. Nothing, there's no fear at that age. And so he posed this question to the guru, Sage Vashish, that how is it, do we do the work, get work done, and we deal with the ego, because ego is a big part of all of us, and at all age it surfaces. And the reply was so many verses he went on, but listen to one of this reply Sage Vashish gave, and this is the same book 7 chapter 1, but this is verse 16 because I skip all of that to get to this. Sarva karma phala abhoga malam vismitya saptavat prabha vapatite karye spandasva gata vedanam. Sarva karma phala abhogamalam. Forget and forsake your expectation of fruition of the result of your actions. And this come back to one of the Bhagavad Gita slok we always talk about. Forget and forsake your expectation of fruition of the result of your actions. Sarva karma phala bhogamalam. Bismitya saptavata. And allow yourself to be carried onward by the current of your fortune. And that's a tough thing to do, because if you're going to do work and you have to forget and forsake your expectation and allow yourself to be carried along the current of your fortune, then it takes a lot of self-motivation on your part. Pravava patite karye spandasva gatavedanam. And without taking anything to thy mind, as a sleeping man is insensibly carried on by his dreams. Now, this is a very powerful simile he interjected here, because if you're going to carry on as normal, as if you're in a sleep, carried on by your dreams, we know that in a sleep, that most likely you're in one motion, you're in one position. You may move about, but you're consistent. You're lying there. You're not getting up and coming back. You're sleeping. Similarly, the work that you embark on, it must be that constant. And that is what he's explaining to Ram, because he's talking about the ego. How do we get rid of this ego? That you're doing this work, and how can you say not to look forward for result? You must look back for something. You must get some form of reward. But at that age, as a young lad, adolescent, who is being prepared with this kind of knowledge for leadership, he moves on to say to him, restrain thy intellectual pleasures from their inclination to sensual gratifications, and retain thy spiritual joy in thyself for the support of life. Similarly, as the ground retains the roots of trees in it very carefully in winter for their growth in the season of spring. What I like about Vashishta in this example that he gave to Ram is that he wanted to bring home to Ram his message about the ego. So he used nature. And he says, you see how the roots of the trees will retain it, and it will remain in the ground and the earth, grounded, and very carefully is going to be preparing for growth, so for the season to come, in preparation to give the flowers, the fruits of its bearings. And basically he's saying, be like the tree. The tree that does not wait for someone to pass by and say, should I bear this season, or should I not bear? Or should I think about it? No. The tree works along with nature, and it knows that it's seasonal, and the weather is going to change, and it's going to prepare to blossom and to give fruits. And that is how the lesson that Vashish in this Yoga Vashish is given to Ram, that humankind, us, we must be that prepared in life, that the fruits of our actions, we must be consistent, and we must be prepared to give it at all times. The tree does not, if the rain does not fall, some trees need water to survive, that tree will still stand its ground. And whatever it receives from nature, whatever resources it is given, it will bear its fruit. And we are just like that. Sometimes we may produce at a high level, sometimes medium, sometimes low, based on the resources provided to us. But the bottom part, or the bottom line of what we want, is consistency. We remain steadfast to giving and to give back. And that is how he's showing to Ram to keep down this ego. Because at that age, when you're young and strong and you're moving about, you want to conquer the world. And this is one way of being consistent. Don't do and stop and say, I'll come back some other time. Keep doing. So we'll pause a little, and we'll come back for more teachings from Sage Vashisht. Inhale, come.
अभिमान तेरा मान कम होएगा,
होगा अंत वो ही जो भी राम हुक्म होएगा।
कल की आश त्याग जा, कल की आश त्याग जा, कर्म करते रहिए। सीताराम 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 कहिए। जाहि विधि राखे राम, ताहि विधि रहिए। जाहि विधि राखे राम, ताहि विधि रहिए। सीताराम 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 सीता। दीननाथ हाथ सौंप, जिंदगी की डोर दे।
महलों में राखे चाहे, झोपड़ी में ठौर दे।
महलों में राखे चाहे, झोपड़ी में ठौर दे।
दीननाथ हाथ सौंप, जिंदगी की डोर दे।
महलों में राखे चाहे, झोपड़ी में ठौर दे।
धन्यवाद निर्विवाद, धन्यवाद निर्विवाद, राम राम कहिए। सीताराम 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 कहिए। जाहि विधि सीताराम कहिए। जाहि विधि राखे राम, ताहि विधि रहिए। जाहि विधि राखे राम, ताहि विधि रहिए।
सीताराम 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 सीताराम।
सीताराम 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 कहिए। जाहि विधि राखे राम, ताहि विधि रहिए। जाहि विधि राखे राम, ताहि विधि रहिए।
सीताराम 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 सीताराम। श्री रामचंद्र कृपालु भज मन हरण भव भय दारुणम् नव कंज लोचन कंज मुख कर कंज पद कंजारुणम् कंदर्प गणित अमित छवि नव नील नीरद सुंदरम् पटपीत मानहु तडित रुचि सुचि नौमि जनक सुतावरम् शिर मुकुट कुण्डल तिलक चारु उदार अंग विभूषणम् आजानुभुज सर चाप धर संग्राम जित कर दूषणम् भज दीन बंधु दिनेश दानव दैत्य वंश निकंदनम् रघुनंद आनंद कंद कौशल चंद दशरथ नंदनम् इति वदति तुलसीदास शंकर शेष मुनि मनरंजनम् मम हृदय कंज निवास कुरु कामादिकल दल गंजनम् मनुजाहि राचेहु मिलहि सोबरु सहज सुंदर सावरो करुणा निदान सुजान शील सनेहु जानत रावरो एहि भांति गौरी असीम सुनि सिय सहित हिय हर्षियलि तुलसी भवानी पूजि पूनि मुदित मन मंदिर चलि सो जा.
I do hope you are enjoying that beautiful chant there to Sri Ramachandra Kripalu Bhajaman. It's a stuti and adoration to Sri Ram. This morning we're talking about a text which was written by Saint Valmiki, and it's called Yoga Vashisht. It has teachings and it's a conversation between Ram and sage Vashisht. This happened before the Ramayana, and it has a lot of meaningful understanding of life itself, because Lord Ram at the adolescent age, he had a lot of questions that he needed answers for, and these questions were addressed by sage Vashisht. And what we see is that he was asking about the self, the ego, and how in this world, how is it that one can still do work and remove the ego out of it. And he was basically using the nature and alluding to how nature operates and how trees work along with nature. Whatever resources that they get, they utilize it and they produce their fruits. And if we see a plant or a tree not giving the kind of fruit that it was supposed to in terms of yields, then we are quite aware now, okay, it could be factors which might be pollution, it could be climate change, it could be pests, along that line. But in its full glory, when nature was not tampered with, and there was this full bloom of life, and nature and man used to understand each other. And that is why even our ancestors, when it came to this shore, they did not have the phone to find out what the weather is going to be like so that they will plant. Or when they want to get into the rice cultivation, they knew from the tide, from the river tide, they knew from the moon. By the way, tomorrow is full moon, Sri Satnarayan Vrat Katha, and family should sit and do their Havan. They knew by the moon. And before we continue, when do you plant, Mr. Trini? Before
4 days.
4 days.
4 days after full moon.
4 days after full moon. And I am not a planter like you are, but I know that there are days when you have to plant above plant that will be above the ground, and those that will be in the earth, right? Like cassava and so. So which ones you will plant 4 days after the full moon?
Above the ground.
Above the ground, and below Earth now?
Lower on the
Which days? So the full moon time too,
Yeah,
because
that-
it's good.
yeah.
So
It's
both
after-
time, both
after-
kind.
after.
Okay.
But are there scientific reasons behind it?
Oh yes, my father was a farmer, and it was the moon. He will always have this calendar to look when it will be the moon, and have someone make a note of it. So he will, but I can't remember exactly. But I know he wouldn't plant full moon day, but it was either before or after that he will do the plant, and so they didn't have calculation, right, and they understood nature. That is the beauty about it. And then when they plant, they know that okay, this tree will take so long. Like some coconut trees will take how long?
Some is 18 months, 3 years, 5 years.
No, the grafted one now, the one that we tamper with and we put together now, humankind. It will be the 18 months, right? But generally, the coconut used to grow at their own pace. But I mean, it's good that scientists step in and they started to graft them or put them together and get different combination. But we saw that it was not kind to the environment when that was done. So in the situation that Yog Vashisht was explaining to Ram, and he was using nature to show that it was a perfect situation. But for us, the humankind, the ego, it was not a perfect situation, because in different person the ego will behave in a different way, right? The ego is such a giant that if you don't take note of it, we're taken off the grid, and we may forget our duty. And basically that is what he's alluding to him. So he continues to say, what is the use of much verbosity when it can be expressed in short and in a few words, that the desire of fruition is a bondage of your soul, and your relinquishment of its fraught with your perfect freedom. So he's trying to précis his explanation and telling Ram that, action thy duty, reward not thy concern. It wasn't said there, but basically this is what he's moving to. Do what you have to do. And what was fascinating when I was reading this text is that I always thought that it was just Lord Krishna and Arjuna where this the actual warrior was exposed to, in the sense of the context of what Arjuna was told to do to perform his duty. But here is a young lad, Ram, at the age of 15, 16. He's asking the same question, but he's not asking the question in terms of duty in the family scenario, but he was asking the question in terms of his personal, of ego within ourselves. How do we deal with it, right? And we see that basically the shlokas are different, but the meaning it's the same. It's the same. And the reading of the Yoga Vashishtha is one that we should get into it. We should read it and understand that he went into so much detail. Yoga Vashishtha, Sage Vashishtha to Ram, because he keep using various analogy. For example, listen to this one. This is verse 28. There is no business whatever for us in this world that must be done or abandoned by us at any time or place. Everything is good that comes from the good God. Therefore, you sit quiet with your cold indifference as before the occurrence of any event. Right? I'll read that over. There is no business whatever for us in this world that must be done or abandoned by us at any time or place. Everything is good that comes from the good God. Therefore, you sit quiet with your cold indifference as before the occurrence of any event. So you having this wrangle and this tangle within your own self, with your ego. And he's basically saying that what God has created, as long as we allow it to grow, then you will fit into that environment. The controlling of the ego is to not allow it to overpower you and tell you, no, don't continue doing what you're doing, do something else. Because as long as you set out on a path to do something, and you have the aim and the objective, and you know that you're working towards it, continue, right? But we find that for adolescents that this is not something wrong, but it's good exposure for an adolescent. He or she may choose a goal and start to pursue, and then 6 months or 8 months they just flip, go and do something else. 6 or 8 months, stop, flip, do something else again. This is how it is good, and this is how it is bad. It is good if when you are choosing a path for yourself, and within the 8 or 6 months that you have moved into it, and you realize this is not for me, so I try number 2. 6 months and 8 months into the path of your goal, this is not for me, and you drop it again. 6 or 8 months into the goal and objective, and this is not for me. But there must be a cutoff point. So it is good that you start and you stop because you realize it is not for you. But you cannot all your life not finishing a task, and because you will realize that you will end up nowhere. And this happens at the adolescent age 15, 16, right? Where you're confused and you want things to happen real quick, and it's not happening fast enough for you, so you will just run through it and switch and go and do something else. We find that of recent an escalation in violence in school, and one may think that this new violence, I shouldn't say new, violence was always there in school, but the teachers are very good foot soldiers and they will work and deal with it really quickly. But this new turn that we see happening, it's that age where they are. And so unfortunately, or fortunately, I should say unfortunately, these young men did not really find someone to whatever is building up within them to deal with it in a conversation manner, but rather take to violence. And violence breeds violence. You dig out one eye, somebody will dig out the 2 eyes. You're blind. What's the point? Okay? So if you want to get a hold of these adolescents at this age, they need to gravitate towards people who they know can give them answers. And the anger can come out in the questions. The anger must not be to take up weapons, because taking up weapons means that you're going to cause harm to others. And if you harm others, you cannot expect not to be harmed. So you have to be practical in your thinking. At that age, sometimes that's the last thing on your mind, to be practical. With the hype you have, you feel that you can soar into the sky, and you can fly, you can do so much. And yes, you can, but how are you approaching it? And with this, I would like to urge all parents that if you have teenagers around you, among you, within your family structure, with family members, always try to engage them in conversation. Don't look at them and say that, oh, these young people, we can't tell them nothing because they go and they read up and they Google and they know everything. No, we are seeing that they don't know everything. As long as we move for self-destruction, it means that we have to render assistance. And when you encounter young boys and girls who are violent in their speech, we need to put a hold on it immediately. It doesn't matter if you're not a relative, intervene. Because
I know parents protect their children when strangers or adults intervene, but those very parents might be the kind of parents you may have to even sit and counsel too. Because you cannot have a violent kid on your hand and you're protecting that child. You're looking for help also. So let us cooperate with teachers. Let us cooperate with our community members. And let us work as a unit and help our community so that these children that we know, when they walk on the road and they use obscene language, immediately the adults must say, hello, stop it.
We're not in that era
We
anymore.
can.
No,
We
we're
should.
not.
We need to start right away.
We're not, because you would find parents disagreeing with you because they don't
Objecting.
believe the child would do that, and they would get aggressive towards the person who's actually correcting them. I've seen this on many
Well, then we as the
this
old.
is teachers, much less strangers. on
No,
the road.
strangers need to get smart now, because let me tell you something. Every time these children want to expose something, what they do? They video it.
Mm.
So
But
if
it's not really. It's not. I don't.
no,
I don't
it's
think
a distance we
advised.
need to go.
I don't think it's advised or it's practical, because some parents out there are very aggressive, and I'm saying this as a teacher, much less a stranger.
Well, then the
who's
parents need
correcting.
help.
Well, that is definitely not something to debate about.
Yeah, because we don't want teachers moving away from this noble profession.
But you see, violence has always been in school, indeed. But one of the things we need to realize is that when we give children this international idea of doing as they please and giving that freedom of expression, and allowing them to express themselves and be who they are, and they follow characters in
Undesirable
on shows and
characters.
stuff, or
Mhm.
their role models obviously are not ones who we would agree with, are persons who instill violence in their songs and in their movies. There's one particular one, and HM was talking about, when they had a whole hairstyle thing where it
Right.
was it's called Peaky Blinders. I remember her saying this specifically because she said they mimicked the hairstyle, and they didn't it was not accepted, the hairstyle, because it was not for school. It was very fashionable. That was not allowed then. But what you see happening is that they're not only mimicking the hairstyle, but the attitude as well. And in that particular show, they were very disobedient to authoritative figures. And that's what they were mimicking in the school system.
And promoting.
So if we're going to allow freedom of expression, and we're going to allow them to express themselves, which is a bit egoistic, which the movies and the songs lend itself to, then they're not going to follow rules, because to do that means you have to disobey and not be put into a box where you have to say exactly what to do.
You know what is very sad is that teachers will endure, and they will protect, and they will try to put the children on the right path. But when they're finished school and they're gone, maybe a next set will come, they will deal with it, and they're gone. But when they're gone back to that home, that environment where they know that, okay, my violence was accepted, and they're not going to change and say, okay, I'm going to be good now. Because if the parents give support when they're in school, parents, you gotta realize that they're coming back right to your home, and that violence will escalate. You will not have a voice in your own home eventually, because when you were given the help through the government school system to put it right, you said, no, my child will never do that. But when the child finishes school and becomes an adult and is in your home, and the child is dealing with you and being rude to you and impolite and abusive and using obscene language, it is too late. Because when you should have, at the time it was brought to your attention, dealt with it, you protected the little monster, and now he's a big monster, and it is your problem. But it doesn't stop there. As he gets older, he now becomes a burden to society, because The state will have to provide for him. If he gets into problem, he gets into jail, he's locked up. Taxpayer money will now have to support him. And you, the parents, need to recognize the stark reality of this. That when you're being called and you're being told that you need to look into the behavior of this child, you must not immediately jump to defend, but you listen. You listen, you monitor, and if you still feel that the teachers are not right, then you come back to the table with them and say, listen, what you have said, this is what I am experiencing. Why is it I'm not seeing what you're seeing? And parents need to work like that.
As we end this first hour,
Oh,
we will come back with conversations based on egoism and rules as well when it comes to the school system. We'll be right back after this very short break.
Okay.
Check out unique innovations at the main entrance of Amazonia Mall for a wide variety of items like children's toys, pets toys, science experiments, board games, kitchen appliances, and so much more. You've got friendly customer service and affordable prices at Unique Innovations directly opposite the main entrance at Amazonia Mall. Are you looking for that perfect outfit for a birthday party, anniversary, or casual event? Check Azalea's top brands for quality women's, men, and children clothing and accessories at affordable prices. At Giftland and Amazonia Mall, Azalea's top brands is where you should be. Check out unique innovations at the main entrance of Amazonia Mall for a wide variety of items like children's toys, pets toys, science experiments, board games, kitchen appliances, and so much more. You've got friendly customer service and affordable prices at Unique Innovations directly opposite the main entrance at Amazonia Mall. Are you looking for that perfect outfit for a birthday party, anniversary, or casual event? Check Azalea's top brands for quality women's, men, and children clothing and accessories at affordable prices. At Giftland and Amazonia Mall, Azalea's top brands is where you should be.
आरती श्री जनक दुलारी की, सीता जी रघुबर प्यारी की। आरती श्री जनक दुलारी की, सीता जी रघुबर।
Mad 97, broadcasting live from Georgetown, Guyana in the highest quality. Providing our listeners with the latest in world and Caribbean music, local culture, news, and top personalities. Mad 97 is We Own. We Own.
Check out unique innovations at the main entrance of Amazonia Mall for a wide variety of items like children's toys, pets toys, science experiments, board games, kitchen appliances, and so much more. You've got friendly customer service and affordable prices at Unique Innovations directly opposite the main entrance at Amazonia Mall. Are you looking for that perfect outfit for a birthday party, anniversary, or casual event? Check Azalea's top brands for quality women's, men, and children clothing and accessories at affordable prices. At Giftland and Amazonia Mall, Azalea's top brands is where you should be.
to Radio Anand, and we are currently discussing about egoism in all stages of life, not only at adolescence. And you gave a story, right, Ma? You, I think every week now you're finding some story which is related
Right.
to the kata, which is very interesting. And of course, you alluded to the scriptures, which also encourage to not be, to be very conscious of what we do, basically. We are also talking about rules in schools and the violence in schools we were discussing. And I was saying to you before we cut to the ad, by the way, I have to say thank you to Unique Innovations and Azalea's Top Brands for sponsoring this program called Radio Anand. And of course, you will be listening to the ads and you will know more about them. They're both located at Amazonia Mall, where you can shop a wide variety of items and also even pay your bills, MMG transactions at GTNT at Unique Innovations. That is through GTNT at Unique Innovations. So they have a lot of things happening there. They're located at Amazonia Mall, so do give them a check out. As you were speaking about the violence in school, I was saying to you that we are moving into this modern thinking, let's call it that. Modern thinking that children need to express themselves. They need to not be placed into a box. They need to be free. They need to explore, like you said. They need to also be able to choose something and then maybe choose something else, and it's quite fine. But we also need to let them realize that we have to be cautious. We have to understand that there are rules and regulations, and as you get older, laws that you need to follow of society. And I don't think we're heading that way. And even though in the international or developed countries where you still have violence in schools and they have security guards and so forth at school, and recently we saw the shooting of a number of students in a school in Texas. I think 21 of them died.
Yeah.
Teachers and students, they had security at that school, but you still see that, whatever transpired, there was no control over it whatsoever. So the question is, are we heading that way in Guyana? Because recently we found an air gun in one of the students' bags. Teachers found it. And the thing about it, when you think it is only at one particular school, it's really not so. Whatever is happening at one school, trust me, it's happening at other schools as well. It's just that the information has not been submitted or it hasn't been revealed as yet. So when we are talking about following laws, it has to come from school days of understanding to follow rules.
Yes. But besides following rules, this is my opinion. I think these the kind of songs that are being played, they need to have to be screened and censored. And there are lots of songs which have derogatory remarks about
Actually,
women, and even the women, some of them participate in it. But we have to take a stand and say no. It's music there, Yeah, but while we're supporting entertainment, we have to listen to what the entertainment is bringing to us, because now we're saying that it was an offense all the time when you have these rude and obscene lyrics.
That's what I'm not gonna say.
But-
These songs were out since forever.
Right.
It's not now.
No, but now the action, the new generation now, from the result of that now, you're seeing it. They're acting it out.
I think that has been happening all the time.
Well,
But
it's
because
coming real fast by us,
No,
passing
I
us
think
here.
because we are allowing more freedom of expressions at a younger age and how they express it, and not given that same mental health or that same avenue for parents and children to get the necessary help they need, then that is what they would.
One-sided.
Yeah.
It's just one-sided.
So it has to be a balance. But this rude music that you talk about, it has been out ever since I've been going to school, and I am not out there, acting out this song. I mean, I'm not a school child, but what I'm saying is that it has always been out. It has always been there. And one particular artist was asked a question in an interview. I think it was either Cardi B or Nicki Minaj, one of them. What is your opinion? Because other children, like if your children would listen to it, like, won't you be offended if your children are listening to this? and the artist said that, well, they're not my children, so I'm not allowing them to listen to this. And it was a very, I think it was a very that was a statement
Hypocrite.
showing that,
very interesting.
it's very interesting. Let's say that. It's very interesting because at the end of the day, even though you're a parent, you cannot control what children listen to when they're traveling in buses, when they're meeting up with other children, when they're on the roadways, when they're at a event. You do hear this music. You cannot not hear it. You can't not be a human being and not know of at least a line or a word or the name of a song or something. So what we need to do is not really blame the music, but what we need to do, I think, is to let them understand that if you're going to listen to this, it doesn't mean you need to act it out. You need to understand what it is that's actually happening. And indeed, our artists can lend more when it comes to promoting goodness and kindness and non-violence. They can do a lot more, but they would not be as successful as they are.
You know, and I think this verse here, this is the last verse in this book 7. It is saying here that the visible world that appears so vividly to our sight is no more than the manifestation of the one divine essence in many, like the transformation of gold in the multiform shapes of jewels. But seeing the continual decay and disappearance of the phenomenals, we ignore their separate existence. We confess the sole existence of the one that lasts after all and forever. So, in transformation of gold, you bring different kinds of gems in terms of jewelry, right? Multiform it will have, right? But to get to transform it into gold, the process is that you will see continuous decay and disappearance as you move into the process, but yet you want that final product. All right. So when we're looking at the process of these songs, we're seeing the decay. You're seeing the decay because they get hyped up listening, just listening. They get hyped up listening to it, and I kind of agree with you now. In fact, not kind of, I agree with you that this freedom that we're having, it's good, but it's a freedom without limitation.
Exactly. That's why you have rules. That's why you have things in place to teach them about basic hygiene and following a system and understanding that in order for us to not have a chaotic society, certain things need to be in place. And it starts from your physical appearance, and then we move into their mind, how you think, and to not make you limitless, or not limit you, sorry, to how to think, but to let you understand that despite how you want to be creative or innovative, there must be some boundary lines as to how far you're going to extend your thinking if it's going to harm other people.
Yeah,
if it's going to create a chaotic society.
And we have enough example to say, well, you should not go beyond because this is the result.
Exactly.
We have enough of that. So, in the Yoga Vashisht, Sage Vashisht took the time out to sit with Ram, and he was explaining to him about performing his duty and guide him in a direction where Ram became known in the world as the ideal man, husband, friend, king, the one anybody could have approached. Because prior to becoming a king, we see, and prior to marriage, we saw that he was exposed to knowledge as a seeker, qualification of a seeker of understanding himself. He tried to understand himself because he was addressing the ego and the id, ego, superego, all that, which Sigmund Freud talked about, that we will see in children and in adolescents, and even all age group it will be present. But we find that when there is a troubling situation with young people, we need to raise an eyebrow and say, listen, this need to be addressed, because the present young people, they are our future. They are the ones that when you look back next 20-30 years, they are the ones looking in our direction, and we're expecting kindness. That's all. And if you're going to be violent at this age, and then we're saying, okay, you're the future, well, what the future really holds.
And
Yes.
then I think we need to realize, since we're talking about children, is that besides the audio or the music that they listen to, which, you know, affects them in some way, negatively or even positively, their environment also plays a huge role. So, because I had an incident where I had a student using decent language, and when you find out, that's how the parents would,
It's accepted.
that's how they would converse. That's how they would speak at home. That's how they would express their anger.
And it's okay.
Obviously. So what do you expect the child to do? If the child comes to the school environment and is doing the same, you cannot be angry as a parent because it has to start from you. Even though the child may be listening to particular songs which have indecent language or lewd, remarks or anything of that, you have to realize that the environment you created at home does not support what you would like the child to be in the future in any way. So it has to start from the parents.
And so, while we're thinking about how we're going to address the issue of getting the children to understand what they're doing is dangerous, we got to work on the parents too.
Yeah, and that is the hardest task of all, because you have the society now is that you can't really tell someone, what they need. You can't, even as a teacher, or even as someone who has knowledge of, based on what you're saying, what you're observing. You need to be you need to go to a professional. And that is a big stigma in Guyana.
Right.
Across the world, it's still in many places that needs development. But what we need to understand is that when you are angry or when you are annoyed or you have that difficulty expressing that anger within your own family members, then imagine how it is for you at a workplace, at the market, in a bus, because that is how you cannot even, you can't function at home properly. When you go out in the public and somebody says something to you, then obviously you're going to lash out at them.
Okay. So I get that. And while we come back now to Yoga Vashisht, and this is a conversation between a seeker, which is Ram, and an enlightened person, which is Yoga Vashisht. We want to now turn to Bhagavad Gita, chapter 2, verse
46.
46. Yeah, let us hear what 46 is saying. Chapter 2, verse 46.
All purposes served by a small well can at once be served by a great reservoir of water. Similarly, all the purposes of the Vedas can be served to one who knows the purpose behind them.
And the next one, please.
You have a right to perform your prescribed duty, but you are not entitled to the fruits of action. Never consider yourself the cause of the results of your activities, and never be attached to not doing your duty.
I like that. So this is also the also the motto of the Guyana Hindu Dharmic Sabha. You have a right to perform your prescribed duty, but you are not entitled to the fruits of action. Now, if you're to think this way, right, that you're not entitled to the action, then violence wouldn't cross your mind, because in violence you want to see blood, or you want
Not
to see
necessarily.
somebody damaged in violence.
Not
Yes.
necessarily. I think when you're being violent, it's just your way of dealing with it. Because many times you would hear persons who get violent, but after it's over, they didn't expect to hit. They didn't expect to stab. They didn't really want that. That was not the intention.
It just happened.
No. I disagree with both of you. When they will say that, correct? Yes, they will say that. I didn't expect, but
Right.
you have to understand the mind.
Alright,
It was
the
always planned. Yeah,
subconscious
it was always planned. There was always a plan that when they come, I will do this, I will do that. And when you start to have a conversation, you decide, okay, I wouldn't bother to do it, but
It's there.
it's there, and then bam, you just so when people say I don't know how it happened, I wasn't expecting this. Yes, at that time they're speaking the truth, but what they're not saying is that they already rehearsed it in their mind. It was already coded and installed there. That if things don't turn out, this is what I'm going to do. And sometimes they already have the backup plan of the violence, so they don't really want to take the time to have a conversation, to go through, step by step with that.
We'll be right
Right
back
back.
after this very
Okay.
short break. And of course, if you have anything to add to this conversation, please feel free to do so.
Check out unique innovations at the main entrance of Amazonia Mall for a wide variety of items like children's toys, pets toys, science experiments, board games, kitchen appliances, and so much more. You've got friendly customer service and affordable prices at Unique Innovations directly opposite the main entrance at Amazonia Mall. Are you looking for that perfect outfit for a birthday party, anniversary, or casual event? Check Azalea's top brands for quality women's, men, and children clothing and accessories at affordable prices. At Giftland and Amazonia Mall, Azalea's top brands is where you should be.
Welcome back to Radio Anand. And we are having discussions here, and we always end up talking about the mind and energy in most of the programs because it really has a lot to do with who we are as individuals. But you're saying that when we have violence, it was actually premeditated.
Right.
I'm saying yes, I do get that because I do talk about the 3 levels of the mind and so forth. But I would say when it's actually in the moment, okay, let's talk about after. After, they do regret it. And if you have regrets, then that really maybe wasn't your intention. I don't know.
No, well, if you have regrets, well, that's the next situation that you have to deal with.
But coming back to this verse that you read,
Yes.
not accepting the fruits of your actions, is that it? Not looking forward for fruits of your actions. I used to believe that. I don't believe that anymore. I'm sorry. And
Well,
I'm talking about
Well, you have a right to not agree because now we're seeing that the very words is in a different context. So you will believe it, but maybe in a certain context.
I am looking at it from a financial point of view.
Okay.
I'm looking at it as work. I'm looking at it as volunteering. I'm looking at it as not as having expectations because according to a documentary on Netflix, Rajiv was showing me last night that this current generation, I'm not sorry, the millennials, when they are in retirement age, more than 50% of them will not be able to have their lifestyle as they had before in the retirement age. They haven't saved up enough for that. They didn't cater for that.
Didn't plan.
Yeah, they didn't cater for that. In retirement age, it will be really so their whole lifestyle will need to change. Well, obviously, as you get older, your lifestyle will need to change. But because there isn't this retirement plan, because you weren't reaping the benefits of your work throughout your life, then you're not planning for that future. And of course, if you plan for the future, you cannot plan with the idea that the value of the currency will remain the same, the standard of living will remain the same, the currency, the economy will remain the same. You can't depend on that.
Right. I
You
agree with
understand where
that.
I'm coming
but
from?
but
I don't think.
but on this spiritual level,
I don't think reaping the benefits of your actions is egoistic. I think it's being smart.
no, it's good. It's good. But when we talk in the form of assisting someone, because this is where something that you could do. I'm talking like a 1 minute, 2 minute thing, and you assist. That's okay.
In what way? You mean like elderly?
Yes.
Charity.
Right, that kind of way. And it's not that you're doing it every day, because if you
There
have
must be a percentage of your time
that
okay,
you
yeah,
give,
well, that I fully agree with.
right,
A percentage
along
of your
that
time
line,
to
along
give
that line.
back to society, to have that place in society where you're making a positive impact and not having any rewards or not looking forward for rewards. I get that.
But nobody can do this all their life, because I mean, it's called volunteerism of time and your skill and your money, and therefore young people need to work,
It's a
study, and so
choice.
on. Right.
But I don't think you should be carried away with the fact how you feel and not think about life strategically, especially when it comes to financially.
Right, I agree. I agree with that. So, neither have in view the object of your action nor the reward of your action, but know it to be equally alike, whether you refrain from action or do it without your desire or fruition. And this is in the context of Ma karma palahetur bhumitejo sanga karmani. Yeah, but you remember what you're saying, I quite agree, but it does not reflect the verse. This verse is with Arjuna, and in Yoga Vashishta it kind of ties in, because with Arjuna verse and Lord Krishna, it was about duty and standing up for the right. This is and if you think about it, it will touch on finance and so on, because had he not stood up and fight, right, what would happen is that they would have taken over that kingdom, and they would have become beggars. So he had to fight to survive. And but this karma nevadikara se mapale, Lord Krishna make sure you bring in that to make him understand also that right now you need to get up and fight. Don't worry with the action that will come after, because he knew that. And this is a good verse that tells you that don't think about the action, because your whole intention is good, is having goodness within your intention in that spiritual context. So the one where you're talking about looking out for yourself and planning, I totally agree. I mean, if you don't do it as whichever age you are, if you don't look out for yourself, I don't know who's going to come looking out for you.
Exactly.
Right? Because you need to make yourself such a person that when you do ready to give back, or you're ready to give charitable, you're in a good position to do that. But you have to make yourself.
It's good to look out for yourself, and it's something which I always allude to when you're on a plane. They teach you to put on your own mask first, and then
Then
look
help
to put on
others.
other people, because if you're looking to help other people, then you will die in the process, and or both persons could die, actually. A very sad note. Oh God, I'm talking about plane, but let's not get into that. This is something completely, I guess, off, but still lends itself. It's this person said, karma said, sometimes you have to suffer in life, not because you were bad, but because you didn't realize where and when to stop being good. Karma said, sometimes you have to suffer in life, but not because you were bad, but because you didn't realize where and when to stop being good.
Philosophy.
Well, why you must stop being good? You must always be good. But you can be clever. Right? I mean, you got to define good there. Now, what I find striking is for this part of the Yoga Vashish is that the first verse is the second line. The first verse of Yoga Vashish, book 7, chapter 1, and verse 26. The first verse. Ma karma pal hetur bhuma te sango asva karmani. And in Bhagavad Gita, ma karma pal hetur bhum, same thing. So, very, very interesting here is that the two lines are the same, but in different contexts in the life of Sri Krishna with Arjuna, when he exposed him about the right to perform a duty. And same thing here in Yoga Vasishta, when Sage Vashish is saying to Ram that don't have view in the object of your action. As a teenager, he's explaining to him, but nor the reward of your action, but know it to be equally alike, whether so whether you do the work, or whether you do or you don't do, don't expect nothing, basically.
And this duty you're referring to,
the duty, in terms of, in Arjuna's case, it was when he refused to go and face his opponents, right? And he's saying that I cannot go and fight my grandparent and my pitama and I can't go find my teachers. And he was feeling weak to the toes, right? And then Lord Krishna said, no, you have too much expectation. You want reward. Go and do your duty, right? So that's about it. And so in Yog Vashish, I think it's a very good read for those of you who may not have touched on this text as yet. And there are many other names it goes by. It goes as Vashisht Ramayan. Many names, the same text is being carried around by. And some book is called Yog Vashisht of Valmiki. It was written by Sage Valmiki. A very, very interesting text. So this morning, we were able to put together the life of Ram, Sri Ram, and the life of Lord Krishna, but it wasn't much about Lord Krishna, but the words, it wasn't much about his life, Lord Krishna, it was about the life of Arjuna, but the words Lord Krishna would have told to Arjuna to discharge his duty. And in this case, Yog Vashish was telling Sri Ram that in terms of how he must deal with his ego, and he went on to a very long conversation, going into detail to explain to him. What I like about the Yog Vashishta, he has a lot of stories that he would have told. I didn't do any story this morning that he told to Sri Ram. I hope to bring back this Yog Vashishta and read the story, because in each story there was a moral that he wanted him to see and to analyze. And this is one of the happy pastime of our ancestors. They used to do what we call parable, yes, and they will give you a story and it's a parable and you have to interpret it. And the story, if they will not tell you exactly what it is, but you have to think through the line, and then you have to say, oh, this is what it is. And sometimes they used to do riddle, and you need to figure out, what is it that the riddle means. And that is how he would have done it with Ram. And these kind of interactive stories that they used to do, it created critical analysis. And so you were able to be reasonable. You were able to rationalize. You were able to think. And within the faculty of your mental capability, you were able to take the time to say, no, I can't think like this. I need, because based on what was presented to you. And that kind of exposure to young people is a kind of grooming that we need to give constantly. It never stops. No, it never stops. So you tell them, you give them situation where they must be allowed to think. Most of the time when you instruct adolescents, go and do this, go and do that, they get tired of it. It becomes monotonous and it's not challenging, and there is actually like they're not. It's mechanical. Too, right? It's mechanical.
It's good to give reasons.
Yes, you must give reasons at all times when you give out those kinds of instruction. But in a situation where I'm talking about life itself here, but I'm not going back to your classroom. Sometimes you can't give a reason all the time, and you need to give an instruction. You just need to move. Because you have 30, 40, 50 children that you under your command, and you need to get something done. You can't, okay. All 50 of you, do you want a reason? And everybody put up their hand. You never get work done.
The verse that you're really ponging this morning, it's really applicable in today's society. Family members, they know other family members are doing harm, committing crimes, harming other family members, and they choose not to do anything about it.
Correct.
But Ramayana Bhagavad Gita teaches us.
Yoga Vashisht for this morning.
For this morning.
The father, King Dashrath. Now, at no point in time, Ramayana showed that Ram growing up as a young man was a troubled child, because, Tulsidas was very explicit. And even Valmiki. And the father sent him out on a tour, and it's when he saw people in different situation and he saw the trouble, he was very, very much disillusioned. And the look on his face, the father thought that they need to get to his teacher, which is Yog Vashisht, and he said you need to have this conversation with him, and you need to do this transmittal of knowledge. And the first thing Ram dealt with was with the ego, right, with the mind. And so he was exposed to a step-by-step understanding of how it works, using nature as an example. And this is a kind of work that we need to do with young people. Expose them to life's teaching, what is expected of them. Along that line, they will understand that they need to respect nature, they need to respect animals, they need to respect plants, trees, they need to come to grips that you're not existing here by just alone. If you don't have the plants, you can't breathe, you need oxygen. And along that line, the awareness needs to be created. You see, enough young people, they're here, they arrive, but they don't think about these finer teachings in life. What am I doing here? Who am I? Adolescent age, you don't ask that. You don't ask that. You don't ask. No, you have time for that.
You cannot ask questions when you're not exposed to that environment.
Right.
You have to be exposed to the environment, and then you'll be more curious or inquisitive about nature and life in general. We'll be back after these very short messages.
Okay, go ahead.
Are you looking for that perfect outfit for a birthday party, anniversary, or casual event? Check Azalea's top brands for quality women's, men, and children clothing and accessories at affordable prices. At Giftland and Amazonia Mall, Azalea's top brands is where you should be. Check out unique innovations at the main entrance of Amazonia Mall for a wide variety of items like children's toys, pets toys, science experiments, board games, kitchen appliances, and so much more. You've got friendly customer service and affordable prices at Unique Innovations directly opposite the main entrance at Amazonia Mall. Are you looking for that perfect outfit for a birthday party, anniversary, or casual event? Check Azalea's top brands for quality women's, men, and children clothing and accessories at affordable prices. At Giftland and Amazonia Mall, Azalea's top brands is where you should be.
One of the verses I read more than once in the Yoga Vashisht, and Valmiki says, "You have heard the relation of the subject of composure of the soul. Attend now to that of nirvana, which will teach you how to attain the final liberation of yourselves." And having said that, as the chief of sages was saying his shish, that he did not disturb him while he was answering one question but in many parts. And sometimes we just listen to a few lines of something and we make a pronouncement. And that happens a lot these days, that you didn't hear the whole thing. You just hear a clip of it and you make your own conclusion. And most of the time is a wrong conclusion. So if you're going to be a listener, then you need to listen very intently. And you need to listen very carefully, because it is, especially when there's new knowledge coming to you. Because you're the one that would have initiated the question and you're getting a response. So you need to wait until the person is finished. And one of the weaknesses I have is that sometimes when persons are speaking, I cannot write quickly what is a question in my mind, so I might interject. And it's not really a good thing to do. We need to really,
No
it's,
comment.
No.
I have no comment.
It's not really a good thing to do, but sometimes it is such a wonderful conversation that you're having, that you want to hold on to.
It's a quality with you and my brother. Your minds are moving so fast.
Uh-huh.
You're doing so many multiple things in your mind.
It's a bad thing, though.
It's a very bad thing, because me and daddy have to put up with it.
Right.
But your minds are moving so fast and you're dealing with so many things, like you you think you can finish the sentence and answer it in the same
At the
time.
same time.
So that's a problem I have, but I'm working on it. And listen how I'm working to address that. So while the person is speaking and the question is to my mind, I'm just listening and just hold on to one keyword so that I can go back and say, you remember that word you mentioned? And I've been practicing it, and that one word brings back the question to mind. It took a lot of work on my part because it's not good to interject in a person's train of thought, because
That's
you
what I'm
kind.
doing now. But you know,
No,
some
I like
persons-
when you do, because I mean we come back to where we were.
But some persons may see that as being egoistic.
No, you remember I am the one
No,
answering
but
your
you know
question.
that, right? No, but you know that. If you keep interjecting and think you know it all and keep butting in, it seems as if you're egoistic,
You know all.
right?
No.
You know it all.
No, but when you
I'm just saying how people might perceive it. But if it's a thing you realize, you need to hold back on, then it's a good thing to just listen.
well, I didn't like it for myself, and I'm working on it.
But it's just because you wanted things to happen faster, ma.
To let it-
How many times haven't we had conversations at home?
Mhm.
Me, you, Rajiv,
Mhm.
Daddy. And even with sister is just like that as well.
Mhm.
That you would say things and we would respond, but before we could finish responding, you jump to, okay, so we're at A and B, we're having this conversation, and we're ready to give you C.
Mhm.
And when halfway of giving you the letter C, you're at P,
Already
or
starts.
you're going,
Mhm.
and we're like, wait, hold on,
Mm.
let's stick with C.
Mhm.
But it's not a bad thing, but I guess you can only do it with those who truly understand you.
Yeah. And one of the things, so we're back a little into communication, right? And it's something that I wanted to fix. But sometimes some people wanted to do that. They say, okay, so why you didn't raise it all the time? You make me go through the whole thing. Because people do that. So you could have stopped me and you could have fixed it. Because nowadays, the jet set thing is go, 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 go. Don't, no. So, we're talking about ego here, with Ram asking Vashish that particular question, and the answer to that question he talked about, in order to address the ego of the mind, is that perform your duty, don't expect anything, which is also in Bhagavad Gita. Lord Krishna said to Arjuna, perform your duty, do not expect anything. But in these two texts, it was in different contexts. In the Bhagavad Gita, it was about Arjuna discharging his duty and to fight unrighteousness. In the Yoga Vashishtha, it was Ram as a seeker of knowledge, asking Yoga Vashishtha how should he deal with that ego, that giant ugliness within him, that is, at that adolescent age. And we see that two same answers, different situation, and they can both be administered and dealt with. So I would like to urge that you read the Yoga Vashisht, and it's in various copies on the Internet Archive. Go and have your copy and do read on it, because I will be coming back. I would like to do one of the stories of Yoga Vashisht.
There are 3 quotes here I'm seeing based on ego. The first one is just a statement. It says, ego is the only requirement to destroy any relationship. So be a bigger person, skip the E and let it go. You get it?
Yeah. It's a nice.
Albert Einstein said, ego is equal to 1 divided by knowledge. More the knowledge, lesser the ego. Lesser the knowledge, more the ego.
All right.
And this last one, a bad day is a great day for your ego is a great day for your soul. And this is Jillian Michaels. A bad day for your ego is a great day for your soul. And when it's not difficult to say somebody is egoistic, because once person start talking about themselves,
You can't get him to stop.
it can't stop.
Mhm.
But we would identify that as egoistic, no?
Talk.
Well, it depends.
Depends.
It depends. Because look how we're looking at two same line here of a shloka, but in different contexts. So
Exactly.
it depends.
And I guess it comes back to this thing which we always say, which I always say actually, is that life is not a straight road. It's not like a balance. It's not a one general statement. Do this,
And you will get this.
and you will get
Get
that
this.
result. Do
Right,
that,
right.
and that will be the result. It
Mhm.
doesn't work
Trial
that
and
way.
error.
Yeah, it's a constant trial and error, as Daddy said. It's a constant work in progress that you need to remember. It's now 12:42 p.m. We'll be right back after this very short break.
Okay.
Check out unique innovations at the main entrance of Amazonia Mall for a wide variety of items like children's toys, pets toys, science experiments, board games, kitchen appliances, and so much more. You've got friendly customer service and affordable prices at Unique Innovations directly opposite the main entrance at Amazonia Mall. Are you looking for that perfect outfit for a birthday party, anniversary, or casual event? Check Azalea's top brands for quality women's, men, and children clothing and accessories at affordable prices. At Giftland and Amazonia Mall, Azalea's top brands is where you should be. Check out unique innovations at the main entrance of Amazonia Mall for a wide variety of items like children's toys, pets toys, science experiments, board games, kitchen appliances, and so much more. You've got friendly customer service and affordable prices at Unique Innovations directly opposite the main entrance at Amazonia Mall. Are you looking for that perfect outfit for a birthday party, anniversary, or casual event? Check Azalea's top brands for quality women's, men, and children clothing and accessories at affordable prices. At Giftland and Amazonia Mall, Azalea's top brands is where you should be.
Welcome back to Radio Anand, and this morning we're talking about ego. And Daddy asked a question just now: what is ego? We addressed it extensively. Mommy, would you like to answer?
Ego.
Actually, I saw here on the Google.
Oh.
Ego is a person's sense of self-esteem or self-importance. It's a person's sense of self-importance.
Yeah, that you allocate to yourself.
Yes.
You're praising your own self.
I guess. Psychoanalysis for ego, it's the part of the mind that meditates between the conscious and the unconscious and is responsible for reality testing and a sense of personal identity.
Oh.
In a philosophical way, it's a conscious thinking subject.
Oh.
It's how you, I guess it's how you perceive yourself. What exactly is ego? In psychoanalytic theory, that portion of the human personality which is experienced as the self or I and is in contact with the external world through perception. I think we can talk much more about ego if we continue here.
No, because you need to, because that is what the question Ram addressed to Vashish, right? That how do you deal with his ego? And we have to be careful how, in terms of our own ego, how we should be able to manage it, because when you there's a term egotistical, right? And somebody point a finger and say, okay, you're too egotistical, and you're at a loss. But ego is like, you blame people when things don't go your way because you feel everything is about you.
The expectations.
Expectation, right? You get yourself impossible goals and then beat yourself up and when you don't reach them, because I don't know what it is you want to prove, and you feel jealous when other people do well.
Because one of the personality traits of being an egotistical person is the lack of personal accountability. You expect everybody else to get it done because, you're there, you're in charge. So everybody else is supposed to get that done, but it's not your fault at any time. It's never your fault, the expectation. Another...
so then when we talk about in the context of don't expect the fruit, right?
Yes.
Yeah, yes.
And it's also you have difficulty empathizing with people. You have an exaggerated view of their you cannot see, you cannot understand other people's problems, I guess, when you're egoistic, because it's all about you.
Well, then, when let me go into the thought of Ram at the age of about 15, 16. Imagine a young man exposed to the world, went out there, saw what it looked like, and it terribly affected him. And his father thought that he needs to have some intervention, and the family priest was called in to have this talk with him. And the family priest said to him that, the actions that you perform, do not expect reward. And this reward we're talking about in this context is that if things don't go your way, don't expect any result from that. So that basically this is what Vashish is alluding to him.
I think what's also good to notice is that he had avenues to go and ask these questions.
Right. He didn't have that. The father was the one that saw the need for him to have that conversation right there, because he saw when he came back how disappointed, disillusioned he looked by just the expression on his face. He saw that, and he intervened and said that he need to have this. And that is why sometimes the older folks will say, well, I can't tell you that now. They used to do that, right? Because you're not ready for this. And sometimes when I do tell you, sit down and you look at it like that, because it don't make sense. And so the right knowledge, the right exposure, the right age, all comes in.
I don't think that's applicable anymore, though.
It is, it depends how you groom. Well,
Because if
with the advent of technology.
Exactly.
No, don't say it's not applicable. Hold on. I differ. It's applicable now, because you as a parent, you have to take the same advice which Yog Vashish gave. You have to constantly do your part. Okay, your child may be exposed using his or her gadget to the ugliness of what is there.
No, I'm saying what's not applicable is to say to young people that you are not ready for this piece of information. Because if you don't tell them, they will go and get it elsewhere. And what they may find on the internet is not what you could have probably done a better job explaining to them.
I agree with you. You can't say to them. You should still say to them, listen, you're not ready for this as yet. There will be a time, and a time full blown you will have to do this. This will be your era, your time. But if you take this now and you do it, it will not make sense. It will not have meaning. It will, it will confuse you.
I don't think so.
No. So young people will not listen.
Exactly.
But the point is, you have to still do it.
No, but you still need to let them know what it's about, despite what you're talking about, because first of all, by putting that barrier up, you are allowing them to be more, you are basically permitting them to be more inquisitive and more curious about what is it they want.
All right, let me get to one straight off. Yesterday you talk about men's sexual
health,
reproductive health, right? And I know parents who would not sit and talk to their boys about this. It's a no-no. The boy will not make a mistake because the boy can't get pregnant. So you don't have to go and explain to him anything. You will put the girl on, and because you're scared, girl children, they will get pregnant quickly. So you will drill the girl child early, and you will make sure to tell her everything. But the boy, no. You're not preparing him. He's a man. He's going to be a man. You can leave. So certain explanation as to why you need to wait and why you need to take time. I understand that in this era, when they finish do what they have to do, then they come talk to you.
So you not explaining to the boy child what's happening does not mean he's not getting the information elsewhere.
Right.
I'm saying that saying to young people that you're not ready for this information is no longer applicable. They will get it other places. They will be more curious. You're the one that needs to set the
maybe it need to be like Sage Vashish and recognize when is it time to talk to this child, and earlier than later.
But Especially I think if young
If
people come to you and they have a question,
answer
don't
it.
tell them
Though, yeah,
don't
Nancy
tell
story.
them that
I know.
you're too young for this. It's
Mhm.
not applicable in this year. I highly disagree with parents because parents would say that, Miss, how he know about that? He too young. It's like,
Mhm.
that child knows more than me and you.
Right.
They have more experiences, even though that may be surprising. They do have a lot of experience in a wide variety of adult things that you would think about when it comes to the social life. Even when it comes to financial aspects, they have the technology. They learn.
But what you have to be very careful about, as much as you're that open-minded and a child come and you want to give all this information, remember, more information, this is parent to child now, more information you give to the child at a tender age, I'm talking about not man, woman, young age, now that child has extra burden, like, because he's going to, how you give it to him, he's going to now tune it to his own understanding in his whole being, how he's going to deal with it, right? And sometimes that can be a little scary because you might say, you know what, let me go and do something. You gotta be knowing, yeah, you gotta be.
But I'm not saying you
gotta
tell
know your
them
child.
everything.
You have to know your child.
I'm saying, right, you have,
You have to know your child,
But
bottom
I'm
line,
saying
yes.
not tell them everything, but don't tell them they're too young for this. The mere fact that they ask you about something, they know something. They will not ask you about something where they have absolutely no idea.
They want
They
verification.
already know something. So you turning them away is just letting them go to other people where you will definitely regret it. Give them
Correct.
the information, but of course, not give them explicit information or graphic information to make them worried and scared of to even live in society. But you have to be that epitome of knowledge. You have to be that person to relate to whatever they have to say. If you don't know what they're asking about, say that, but go and find out and have the conversation.
Correct.
Because if you do that, then you're encouraging them to come back to you again. If you shut them down, they ain't coming back to you
At all.
at all.
At all.
So that's not applicable in this era, man. At the end of these teenagers we have these days, in when I was growing up, we were not really exposed to that much of technology, but yet we knew things.
Yes.
So I can only imagine what teenagers today are exposed to. So as parents,
And what they know, what they
Yeah.
think they
so
understand.
as parents, they leave
Knowing and
children.
understanding,
It's two different
right.
things. And experiencing
And
as well.
experience it,
Yeah.
right.
So parents, yes, they are your children. What kind of we say you're golden, and yes, they are. They still are. I mean, as big as I am still a princess. Where's my brother? But
little bonita.
but at the same time, you need to be that person where they can speak to you. Actually, we are coming to program time. It's now 12:54 p.m. Before
But-
we leave, we usually leave a Hindi word.
But before you go to the Hindu, I just want to wrap up here to say that what I like and what I wanted to push in today's kata was that how much parents need to be in tune with the lives of their children and recognize when you need to have a conversation. It could be any conversation, because you as a parent, you have this kind of eagle eyes on your children, that you're picking up these symptoms and you're picking up the signs that I think based on the friends that they have and based on what is trending in society, let me have this conversation. Be that kind of parent. And that to me, when you be a parent like that, then it means that you're on the ball. You're on the ball. Sometimes you may miss one or two things, but be on the ball with that. Our Hindi word for today is, we talk about niyam,
Niyam.
rule.
Rule.
Yeah,
Niyam means rule. That's our Hindi word for today.
yeah.
Okay, thank you very much. Again, we'd like to encourage parents to have conversations, take a keen interest in your child's behavior at home. You will be able to recognize when they need to have that conversation, or just to, have conversations with them in general.
Yes.
And we spoke extensively about ego. I hope you learned a lot. Do join me next Saturday at 2 to 4 p.m. on Sunday at 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. And a huge thank you to Unique Innovations and Azealia Top Brand for sponsoring today's program. Before I leave you with a verse from Bhagavad Gita, chapter 4, verse 7. Yada yada hi dharmasya glanir bhavati bharata abhyutanam adharmasya tadatmanam srijamyaham. Where Shri Krishna says to Arjuna, O Arjuna, whenever righteousness is on the decline and unrighteousness is in the ascendant, I manifest myself forth. Today we're saying, don't wait for that, do your duty. Right?
Sitaram, everyone.
Sitaram, and have a pleasant Sunday.
Check out Unique Innovations at the main entrance of Amazonia Mall for a wide variety of items like children's toys, pets toys, science experiments, board games, kitchen appliances, and so much more. You've got friendly customer service and affordable prices at Unique Innovations directly opposite the main entrance at Amazonia Mall. Are you looking for that perfect outfit for a birthday party, anniversary, or casual event? Check Azalea's Top Brands for quality women's, men, and children clothing and accessories at affordable prices. At Giftland and Amazonia Mall, Azalea's Top Brands is where you should be.
Mad 97, broadcasting live from Georgetown, Guyana in the highest quality. Providing our listeners with the latest in world and Caribbean music, local culture, news, and top personalities. Mad 97 is We Own.
Building cement board, and sheetrock are now zero rated, following an order signed on May 17, 2022 by Senior Minister within the Office of the President with responsibility for finance, Dr. Ashni Singh. The zero-rated status enables suppliers to reclaim any VAT paid at the time the order was issued, while also ensuring that these materials are sold to consumers VAT-free. For more information, contact GRA's Tax Advisory Services section on 227-6060 extension 8000. Check out our YouTube channel or visit us on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and LinkedIn to learn more.
BRNet, the fastest and most affordable internet service provider, has extended their reach to residents of East and West Ganji Babis, Ordnance Portland, New Amsterdam, the Rose Hall Estate surrounding areas, Sisters Village, Port Wellington on the west coast of Babis, among other places. If you haven't signed up for one of their internet packages, now is your chance. Call them on 649-8218. No more buffering of videos and waiting on pages to load, because BRNet is here. Call 649-8218. That's 649-8218. Or visit brnet.gy to sign up today. BRNet, bringing you closer.
So you missed the views out on Facebook.
Or the live stream with a cuss out one another.
Don't fret.
Tune in this and every Sunday for the catch-up from 7 to 9 p.m. on 97.5 Mad FM.
I'm Brittany.
I'm Fetting King.
And we got the files.
I was walking by the Spanish Town Road, and as I reached by Darling Street, me hear Alert Pegasus singing a song like this. Me got a man that me call Alfred. Every day him want food in bed. It's a shame of him eyes them red when he want food in bed. But no food in bed. Yes, no food in bed. But when me call down be plenty too. All the while him me say no. Yet him want to give me bed blue, so no food in bed. another one my turning. And when I reached a top of street, another band was here and played a song like this. Rain a come but dust it up and the man him want to get too rough. He no leave money, him no leave no food, but by 6 o'clock him wanting food. Take where you want me, say take where you want. Take you want out me empty pan. Take where you want me, say take where you want. Take you want out me empty pan. And when I reach a long church street, me hear Chin's Calypso sextet playing a song like this. Liza, me hear you see me funkin'. Yes, Baba, me take a little one now. If you take it, then you really have to pay me. But Baba, me no have nothing to pay you. For this other one come here and all they coulda do was to throw water in a me room and cock down the Bible. 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 Cock down the Bible.
See and hear what's on BBC. And hear me daughter with dad, answer me. Please buy a TV, buy a lovely TV. That's the thing to comfort me and mommy. I really do love my wife and daughter, so I think the whole matter over. And when I got my pay, I went and bought a TV the very day. And hear me daughter with dad, yes daddy. Now we feel happy with that lovely TV. That's the thing to comfort me and mommy. The TV is a modern luxury. It makes your family feel so happy. Whether it rain or snow, you can stay at home and enjoy a show. And hear me daughter with dad, yes daddy. Now we feel happy with that lovely TV. That's the thing to comfort me and mommy. To get a TV is very easy. £5 deposit, $7 weekly. And let your family see the daily happenings on BBC. And hear me daughter with dad, yes daddy. Now we feel happy with that lovely TV. That's the thing to comfort me and mommy. You better take this advice from Tara and get a TV somehow or other. And you'll never go wrong, for BBC TV don't let you down. Hear me daughter with dad, yes daddy. Now we feel happy with that lovely TV. That's the thing to comfort me and mommy.
What a confusion. A fellow lost his watch in the railway station. What a confusion. A fellow lost his watch in the railway station. A Saga girl named Imelda was suspected of being the burglar. She had no purse, no pocket in her clothes, but where she had the watch only goodness knows. And the hearing tick, 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 everybody looking tick, 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 see them how they're searching tick, 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 that's all they're hearing, but they couldn't find out where the watch was hiding. Under suspicion, they took her down to the police station and sent for the matron to examine every piece of clothes that she had on. The matron examined with care. She even made her pull out her long hair. She searched till she couldn't search no more, but the watch now ticking louder than before. And the hearing tick, 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 everybody looking tick, 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 see them how they're searching tick, 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 that's all they're hearing, but they couldn't find out where the watch was hiding. The matron hit on an idea that she could find the watch around somewhere. She said she had an incentive. She could find the watch she'd given privilege to divest Miss Melda entirely and search her as if she was crazy. The search was such. So they decide that the matron turned Melda's inside outside, and they're hearing tick, 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 everybody looking tick, 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 see them how they're searching tick, 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 that's all they're hearing, but they couldn't find out where the watch was hiding. Confusion now in the station, the matron searching by inspiration, the watch ticking louder and louder, and the matron moving up closer. The matron convinced there's no doubt, she pushed her hand up inside Melda's mouth, and do you know, her idea came true, for when she found the watch it was 10 to 2, still ticking tick, 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 everybody looking tick, 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 see them how they're searching tick, 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 that's all they're hearing, they now find out where the watch was hiding.